Yo, I'm coming from that 3-6, so that's why I got them brains spinning. Ain't nobody using blinkers, we ain't good at lane switching. Better get a plane ticket, I ain't flying all you chickens though. Always shoot my shot, better switching off the pick and roll, dishing off the give and go. All my squad is driven, so you can catch us on the road. Promise we ain't doing shows.
Rip City, are you listening? I'm Christian Gamalian. I'm talking with co-host Austin Caphammer, and this is the Peeps and Plaid podcast. The Blazers have had 8 games since our last episode. It's been a while, and they went 4-4, so not too bad considering how this season has gone. And they're now in 10th place in the West with an 18-24 record. Now, Austin and I were going to record yesterday evening, and here's how that episode would have sounded. The Blazers are still losing. Life is rough. I have no hope. Depression has set in. But, oh, how 24 hours can change things. The Blazers beat the Houston Rockets. They have now beat 2 teams with winning records since Zach Collins went down with injury. And with that win over the Rockets, Houston had all their stars playing. So when the Blazers beat the Raptors just a few days ago, Siakam wasn't playing and Marc Gasol wasn't playing and at least one other key contributor wasn't playing. Rockets had all their guys. They had Harden, Westbrook, and Capella. So I'm not going to call this a turnaround point because the Blazers have tried to do that about 16 times this season. But the Blazers are now over halfway through the regular season, and they finally got a quality win, okay? They had about everything you want to see in a Blazers win. They were leading well throughout. They won the game, actually. All 5 starters were in double figures. James Harden played relatively poorly thanks to Portland's defense, which is exactly the opposite of what I thought would happen. I thought James Harden was just going to wreck us. And he missed a lot of shots. And then Russell Westbrook got stats, but his team was down by 14 and Dame fouled him, and Russ said, "You can't guard me." He's talking all this trash, and he says, "A foul's a bucket," and then he proceeds to immediately miss a free throw. That was so good. Like, just that alone, I was like, all right, this Blazers season is worth it. So I'm not saying that this game is some monumental shift in the momentum of the Blazers season, but it was fun to watch, and the Blazers got it done against a quality opponent. So, Austin, what were your thoughts on that game and how things have been going for the Blazers?
What do I think about how things have been going for the Blazers?
Yes, and that game and stuff.
Wow, that was very fortunate timing that my 5-year-old laptop just decided to start working right as you asked me that question.
Yeah, I was looking. I was like, I feel like he's frozen, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. I'm in the midst of a couple big life shifts here. So moving on with stuff comes new furniture and blah blah blah. So I gotta scrounge up some money and invest in a laptop. So we should have some better quality audio for you guys here soon. But what do I think about the recent games? Well, I think it's crazy that the Utah Jazz are the 3rd seed in the West right now. I think that the Nuggets are doing well, and they got a lot of slander. Both of those teams got a lot of slander at the beginning of the season because they were just kind of slow to start. And now the Rockets are finding themselves in the 5th seed with the Mavs only a half game back. So, and then Thunder is, 3.5 games back from the 5th seed, and the Blazers are now, oh my gosh, I mean, we're only a game and a half back from the 8th seed. Grizzlies are in the 8th seed, and that's just not going to be sustained. I mean, they're gonna. I'm gonna look at their schedule actually here while you discuss some things following this, Christian, because I want to see what their schedules look like. But yeah, what do I think about the Blazers recently? I think that CJ has been playing incredible. I think Dame has been forcing a little bit, but still being incredible. Like, he's been a little bit late to start in a couple games, I think. But I think ultimately he always ends up kind of coming through. I think Melo's save the other night was crazy. I don't know why am I struggling to think of who that was against.
That was against the Hornets, right?
Yes, I believe so. And yeah, that was a crazy. It was against the Hornets save, and I think that just more so even speaks to just what he brings to our team, just as a kind of an emotional boost. And I think that that's something that also a lot of people haven't talked about, our pending supposed big trade is going to also do on top of just having better talent and potentially. I think that's a morale booster in the locker room.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been good, and I think Hassan it's almost confusing, right? Like, and I get it because we're in the Western Conference, but it's almost confusing that Hassan Whiteside is leading the league in blocks.
Mm-hmm.
Dame and CJ are the second highest backcourt and high scoring backcourt in the league, and I think it just really speaks to those in between positions. Just, we had some guys that were solid last year, and I for one was one of the fans that kind of took them for granted. Obviously some injuries, right? But
yeah.
I think where we're going right now is more than it's sad to say, but it's kind of at one point earlier this year, it's more than I expected where we'd be at this point. Yeah. We're not necessarily 500, but we're right where it just takes a couple good runs to break that.
Yeah.
And rounding that point out, it also just takes a couple bad streaks for teams like Houston to fall. And the Clippers are, I think, the 5th or 6th seed right now.
They're 4th now, but yeah, they've struggled a bit lately. Clippers and Rockets have struggled.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents about what's been going on lately.
Yeah, I mean, what you were hitting on with Damon, CJ, and Hassan Whiteside leading in blocks, like, that's, I'm not trying to just slander on the Blazers right now. I love the Blazers. Like I said, I'm stoked that things are, turning around a little bit, hopefully, maybe. But that's what I think of. The Blazers are losing to teams like the Warriors early in the season, things like that. And it's like, the Blazers have their all-star, their superstar, their top 10 player in the league. They have their elite defensive center who's been playing super well. They have CJ McCollum, who most people say should be an all-star, and he just isn't because he's in the West.
Right.
They have these big players, whereas like the Grizzlies, they have a couple young dudes, and what else? Who knows? So that's where I think it's warranted to actually criticize the Blazers. I mean, I'm not here to just dog on them, but that's where I look at it and I'm like, this team in the West is doing well. Like the Thunder are doing well, the Grizzlies are doing well. Just that kind of thing where I look at it and I'm like, who the heck is even on their team? Whereas the Blazers, like, yes, I fully understand 3 starters are not playing and it sucks. But the Blazers are still a good team and they should still play that way. I'm not expecting them to be a 4 or 5 seed right now with, missing 3 of their starters, like I said, but they have the pieces to still be a good team. So hopefully with this win against the Rockets, get a little bit of momentum. The Blazers' schedule going forward is not easy, but hopefully they can get something moving and
I think it'll be a good measure.
Yeah, getting one win against a decent team is great going into a stretch of a bunch of teams that are in the playoffs right now. Mavericks, Thunder, Warriors should be a good one. And then Mavericks, Pacers, Rockets, Lakers, Jazz, Nuggets, Spurs, Jazz, Heat. It's going to be a rough stretch, that's for sure. So hopefully this is a little bit of a confidence boost. I know they were doing some different stuff defensively to stop James Harden, and it worked well. So hopefully they can just, have that aggression and have the defensive schemes to actually play against the team they're playing.
And hopefully it does translate like I hear you saying, and like I've seen a couple people say on Blazers Twitter and whatnot, but it is also an incredibly unique offense they played that against, right? So how transcendent is that the start to like you just phrased it, something where we're able to come up with schemes per each team that are just overall better, or was that just James Harden's going to try to put up the 40 shots that I'm going to look at that poll here, Christian. I'm going to see what people ended up kind of estimating would be James Harden's total shot count for the evening.
Yeah.
I haven't even checked it out.
I think he missed 24 shots on the night. Wasn't that it? I don't know.
I'm going to check the poll while you check that.
I'm just going to move on to something else while you check that.
Okay. Well, why don't I just tell you the results real quick.
Oof, send it.
All right. 13 votes in total. I said no giveaways to to partner with this audience poll, but how many shots do y'all think James Harden is putting up tonight?
Mm-hmm.
And we did between 20 and 25, 26 to 30, 31 to 35, and then 36 or more. 47% of you said 36 or more.
Yeah.
And 0% said 26 to 30. So people really weren't liking that median. And then, 15% picked the 20 to 25. So congratulations to the 15%, it sounds like.
Oh, and I was totally mixing it up with another box score for James Harden that I saw recently. He only shot 12 shots because he was struggling so much. He had 8 rebounds and 7 assists. And Westbrook had a triple-double. But like I said, missed those free throws when he was talking trash. So, but yeah, James Harden just wasn't getting anything. Blazers, like I said, all 5 starters were in double figures. Carmelo had 18 points. Dame had 25, 7 and 7. He had like 7 and 5, I think in the first half or something like that. So he looked like he was on pace to get close to a triple-double, and he did get close. Whiteside had 18 and 18. So you like to see that, that's for sure. 2 blocks. So unfortunately, Simons only had like 2 points.
Yeah, but
wait. Oh yeah, 2 points.
On a side note to that, you gotta love how Nas is playing, huh?
Dude, the fact that he's playing again, oh my gosh, I'm
totally
such a big solidifies.
It totally solidifies everything that fans were saying on Blazers Twitter about.
Yeah.
Him needing to see the floor.
Totally.
He hasn't. I mean, I saw him miss a couple shots, but like what he does on defense completely outweighs anything he does on offense. Because honestly, he's not even that costly on offense.
Yeah.
He's not too.
He's not
immature with his ball selection. Yeah.
One of the only guys who's a lob threat on the Blazers, so I'll take him, especially with Anthony Simons. But I'm just gonna jump back to what I've said a couple times and what I tweeted recently. The Blazers should do whatever they can to avoid trading Simons, Little, and Collins. Okay, like if anyone, maybe Collins, just because of the injury. I'm not saying I want him gone. I love Zach Collins. Keep him on the team. The Blazers should trade picks before those players in a heartbeat. This year, maybe not, because it could be a decent draft pick because the team is not playing all that well. Hopefully, I'm wrong, but yeah, don't trade this one. And then 2 years from now, the 2022 draft, that'll have like the double draft where one and done rule could be done, and you could get all this extra talent straight out of high school. Keep those. Trade, the NBA has the every other year rule kind of thing. So be willing to trade the 2021 pick and the 2023 pick way before you trade Zach Collins, Nasir Little, or Anthony Simons. Because if things go how you want them to, if you're going to pay Dame and CJ what they're getting paid, that means you're ready to have a contender. So the team should do everything they can to win now. And so you don't need that many draft picks. They're not going to be able to help you win now. And you have good young pieces, and these 3 pieces are basically like lottery picks because Zach Collins is a lottery pick. Anthony Simons is very talented. Neil Olshey says he's the most talented player he's ever drafted. He's very good already. He dropped low basically because he didn't go to college. That's the main thing. And then Nasir Little was a top 3, top 4 prospect at the start of his college season. Then he struggled. And he's played great since he's joined the NBA. Not like a superstar or anything, but basically these guys are lottery talents, and you're not going to get that again late in the draft. And your intent is to win now, so you're going to be late in the draft.
Yeah, you're going to get a Gary Trent or 2, which will be all right, but not going to win the championship.
And if you're not winning now like you want to, then guess what? You're probably blowing it up, and you're getting draft picks otherwise. So don't trade Zach Collins, Nasir Little, or Anthony Simons unless you have a tremendous opportunity and a guy like Paul George becomes available or something, and guess what? He's not. So, yeah. One guy I would love to see is Chris Middleton. Man, I do not think the Bucks would trade him for anything because he's great and he's been there for a long time. So, you're not just going to trade a staple of your team who's been with you for like a decade. But yeah, Chris Middleton played very well against the Blazers, and he's a guy I would love to see on the Blazers. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I mean this. It's kind of frustrating to see that Robert Covington isn't really being mentioned in conjunction with the Blazers either, huh?
I mean, did you see my tweet? they said that he's been mentioned in trade talks with like the Hawks, the Mavericks, and the 76ers or something. I know it's Mavericks and 76ers.
The 76ers didn't even appreciate him to begin with. They should not be able to get him back.
Right? I mean, I could say that about Blazers guys that I want back on the team, but yeah, so I mean, maybe I'm a little biased there. But yeah, I mean, I tweeted also there's been interest from the Trailblazers, the Blazers, and Portland. So I'm interested at least. So yeah, Blazers definitely need to go for Robert Covington. One thing that the Blazers maybe could do that the other teams wouldn't is take on the salary of Gorgie Dang. I don't know for sure that the Timberwolves are even concerned about that.
That's not even much of a risk to take on either. He's decent, man.
Yeah, exactly.
I watched him play in college too. I think a sweet. I don't know. As in March Madness, he played for New Mexico. Sorry, continue.
No, he played for Louisville, right?
Gorgie Dang. I can't pronounce that. No, dude, he played for like the New Mexico something. Hold on a second.
No, he totally played for Louisville. I was a big fan.
Jang. Oh, you know it. Hold on now.
Louisville. There it is. Boom.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Who was it that played for New Mexico? There was that.
It was definitely a Jang though. Hold on a second.
There was the really big guy. He's like Indian, and he's like 6'6" or 7, and he played for New Mexico. Shoot, I don't know. But yeah, Gorgie Dang played for Louisville. I loved watching him in Louisville. He's like one of the few college players that I really liked. I really liked him. I really liked Montrezl Harrell. I don't know.
Hold on a second. You keep doing your little spiel while I figure out what NBA player alums are from. Because there's. Hold on a second.
Austin just happened to say like the one guy whose college I actually know. Now I actually know a lot of college players' teams, but I don't watch much college basketball. Anyway, Gorgie Dang. It all just comes down to what the Timberwolves want to do, because Timberwolves made a trade today. If we didn't say that yet, they traded Jeff Teague back to the Hawks, where he spent a good chunk of the start of his career. So I think that's great. I think it's great that he gets to go back to his old team. They have a good, probably not backup point guard. I'm guessing he'd start with Trae Young, but we'll see. But I don't know what the Timberwolves are doing, because they took on Alan Crabb. What's that going to do for him? Obviously, it's an expiring contract. So that's the thing. If they want expiring contracts, then they probably want to get rid of Gorgie Dang's salary. Robert Covington he's on a great contract. So there's not really a significant reason you'd want to get rid of him unless you're like, oh, we need, like, there's this superstar we really want to sign. But that doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon. There's talk about D'Angelo Russell, Karl Anthony Towns is friends with him and Wiggins. The three of them are all around the same age. So
I wouldn't be surprised if something got done on that. I would not be surprised if they found a way.
Yeah, but if that's the case, I mean, I don't know. Warriors would want Covington out of that, but I don't know. Regardless, I would love for the Blazers to go for Hassan Whiteside for Covington and Dang. That would be awesome. Blazers keep a center while also getting a starter for the next 3 years. And Dang would be on contract next year also. And he's getting paid $16 million, which is too much. And I'm sure that I'd be just as annoyed with Dang failing based on his contract as I was with Myers Leonard, just because he was getting paid so much. So I don't know. All I know is I would love to have Wiggins. I would love to have Covington. I would love to have Gorgie Dang on the Blazers. I would love to have Layman, but I'm pretty sure they can't trade for him because they signed and traded him at the start of the season. But we'll see. We'll see what the Blazers can do. The answer is not to keep Hassan Whiteside, okay? I would love to have foot and mouth syndrome and say, oh man, the Blazers won the championship with the Twin Towers of Hassan Whiteside and Yusuf Nurkic. Oh, life is good. I would love to say that. I mean, if that works out, it works out. But guess what? I do not want to see Hassan Whiteside on this team past the trade deadline, because he is a starting center. He's not going to play well with another starting center. Yusuf Nurkic had attitude problems with Jokic in Denver. Hassan Whiteside has a history of attitude problems regardless. And that's not the reason, though. It just doesn't make sense to have two starting centers. I love Nurkic. I love Whiteside. I'm not trying to dog on him, but yeah, he needs to be a starting center in order to do what he wants to do. He wants to lead the league in blocks. He wants to get close to it in rebounds. It's not going to happen if you're not the starting center. So they got to trade him. Try to make something work where they have someone on contract for next year and the year after that, hopefully. But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, so we were just kind of talking before we started recording about this kind of upcoming couple games we have definitely being tougher. We have the Mavs tomorrow night. Luka's still doing well. Is KP healthy yet? He kind of had a whole thing going on there.
Shoot, I don't even know. I'm too enamored by Luka Doncic to care. Kristaps, Porzingis. I don't know how he's doing, but dude, I'm so tired of the Luka Doncic slander. Snoop Dogg went on, some sort of video, I saw it on Twitter, and he's like, man, so much disrespect for this guy, the other guy. I'm not here to just say, like, oh, hands down, he's the best 20-year-old of all time. All those other guys were trash. Like, obviously, all those guys are amazing. LeBron James, all the others, I don't know, Kobe, Tracy McGrady. There were plenty of really good young players. I'm not here saying, Luka Doncic puts all those guys to shame. Like, yes, the league is different. Things have opened up more. It's all in the paint or at the three-point line. It's very analytics driven. So floors opened up for him to get more assists, probably for players playing the guard position to get more rebounds because there's longer threes, all that. So I understand that. Still, this is the Western Conference. We've talked about the Blazers have their superstar, their pseudo all-star in CJ McCollum, their really good center in Hassan Whiteside, and they're struggling hard in the West. This is Luka Doncic, a second-year player who's just on a tear every single night, getting triple-doubles, and they're not empty triple-doubles. That's the thing. So acting like, Luka struggled a little bit tonight, so how dare you say he's anywhere near LeBron James. Like, no, like I looked up stats I put on Twitter. LeBron James once, in his second year in the league, I think is what it was. So maybe he was 19 instead of 20. Okay, whatever. The team only scored 69 points, and he didn't have a triple-double. He didn't even have 20 points. I think he had 11 points, like 9 and 5 or something. No. It's like, it's ridiculous that they're like, oh, I'm going to take this one game and tell you why Luka is so terrible. It's like, get over it. Luka Doncic is amazing. Okay,
yeah. And now he's got it. Now his number 2 is back this week. It sounds like in the last 24 hours, Kristaps had been cleared to play. He could have played last night. I can find out who that was against. Looks like they played the Kings last night. And let's see what they're both coming off here. Doncic coming off the game with 25 points, 15 rebounds, and 17 assists. Oh my gosh! Yeah. Are you kidding me?
It was shoot.
Are you kidding me? That's crazy.
The youngest player to have a whatever it was amount of points and then 15 and 15.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's insane, and the fact that people are still talking trash about him is just ridiculous. Like, I need to learn to just not even give it my attention because it's just pointless talk.
It doesn't look like Kristaps played. He's not listed in the box score. So I don't know. Maybe his first game back could be tomorrow night, but some of the headlines had kind of indicated that he was either cleared to play last night or maybe he's coming back tomorrow night against us. But
so to stick with the Mavericks and also go into a little bit of trade talk. I've been really stuck throughout this season. I was stuck on Kevin Love and Blake Griffin. I'll be the first to admit all this. Like, once Blake Griffin went down with injury, I'm like, shoot. I don't know if I want Kevin Love.
Kind of dodged a bullet, though, in one way there.
Yeah. But I still stand by most of what I said, but it is nice it's nice that Neil Olshey waited this long so you could see that. I don't know if the Blazers end up going for Kevin Love or LaMarcus or what. LaMarcus isn't the biggest injury risk, but he's older than Kevin Love, so there's got to be some sort of risk there. So other trade ideas. We've talked a lot about the Timberwolves. The Mavericks are like the only team that is, a good playoff team that I could see really going for Hassan Whiteside. Most other teams are set at center, or it doesn't make any sense for them to go for Whiteside. The Mavericks, Dwight. Am I mixing up the name again?
Dwight Powell.
No, I got it right. Dwight Powell. Like 2 episodes ago, I was lost trying to figure out his name, and I was making sure I wasn't doing that again. Dwight Powell is good, but he's not great. And if you have Luka Doncic, Kristaps Porzingis, and Hassan Whiteside, that's really formidable. Those are 3 pretty big guys, and one of them isn't even in the front court. So
give us Boban. Boban would fit so well in Portland.
Well, shoot, I don't know. The trade idea I have, Ed Davis has been not a great fit with the Utah Jazz, and so I just had this idea of send Whiteside to the Mavericks so that they have their guy, send Marjanovic to the Jazz, Ed Davis to the Blazers, so it's basically a center swap right there, where Blazers get Ed Davis back. Hopefully him and Zach Collins play well together like they did when he was back in Portland. Dame gets his guy that he wanted to stick around for a long time. Utah Jazz get Marjanovic, who maybe is a little more Stifle Tower-esque whenever Rudy Gobert's on the bench, and at least it mixes it up so that, Ed Davis wasn't working out. Now maybe it'll work out with Marjanovic. And then Blazers get Tim Hardaway Jr. from the Mavericks. Now here's the deal. He's getting paid $20 million a year. I honestly have no clue if he's been rocking for the Mavs or what. I don't watch the Mavs enough. I just know I love Luka Doncic. But I just figure hey, Mavericks, maybe they don't need that many guards. I know they have Seth Curry. They have, don't they have Darrell Wright's brother? What's his name? Oh my gosh. DeLon Wright. Yeah, they have DeLon Wright, right? Or is he on the Grizzlies still?
He left. No, I'm just playing.
Oh my gosh. Yes, he's on the Mavs. Man, okay, whatever. Anyway, I'm a big fan of DeLon Wright. They got plenty of guards there. So maybe they don't want Tim Hardaway Jr. anymore. I have no clue. But this is just a trade idea that I had where if the Mavericks want Whiteside, they give up Marjanovic and Tim Hardaway Jr. And then they have a bit more salary relief at the end of this season too, because Tim Hardaway Jr. isn't on the book still. Whereas the Blazers then get a player next year where, worst case scenario, Tim Hardaway Jr. is starting. I don't think that's the worst, Dame, CJ, Tim Hardaway, and then Collins and Nurk or whatever. But him and Ed Davis would be on the team next year as well. So that's kind of like a trade that doesn't do a whole lot, but it gives you contracts next year, gives you depth this year and next year. So I like it personally. And then I say just go all in with the Timberwolves, Kent Bazemore for whoever you can get, and throw in first-round pick or 2. Also, Gorgie Dang, that'd be great. Aaron Gordon and Kent Bazemore straight up with a pick or 2. I don't know. Julius Randle for Kent Bazemore with a pick or 2. I don't know. These are all trades that I would love. I mean, even like Bobby Portis. Yeah, I don't know. I was just messing around on Trade Machine, as I always do. And I finally was delving into some things that weren't just Blake Griffin, Kevin Love, LaMarcus Aldridge.
Well, and I think I just realized that the game that I had watched, maybe either that game or before University of New Mexico was on, and I just remembered the name, and obviously the Lobos. It's a really sick mascot. But then I think I did watch Louisville play. They played. It was really early in the tournament though. Like it was not a, and I was like, and it was in Portland. So I think but I swear I watched Gorgie Jang play basketball at one point. But I was younger. It was like early in high school. Yeah. Or, I don't know. But
I don't know.
To that point. Yeah, I mean, do we really want to make those moves? At that point, it's like, we're kind of that. I mean, obviously, it's just from a contract standpoint, right? Like, that's really the brass tacks of this conversation is whenever, we can speculate as to who and what, but like you said, I think it was the most important part. It brings guys on that are going to be here next year, and it just adds a little bit of depth.
Yeah.
That's fair, and I think that's why you have to do that if you're Olshey. It's such an interesting market right now, and obviously predicament that the Blazers are in as one of the highest spending teams, if not the highest spending team in the NBA. Yeah. I mean, I just really quickly wanted to breeze over some of the games that we had to look ahead to.
You want to stress out a bit? That's what you want to do?
Yeah. So because after the Mavs on tomorrow at Friday night, it's recording now. This will probably hopefully drop before then. If not, go Blazers. So tomorrow's Mavericks, and then Saturday at 7. So we got a back-to-back. The Thunder are playing well right now, man. Shout out to SGA. Nice.
Dude, that was crazy. You got the 2010 and 10? That was crazy.
Well, he got the
2020 and 10.
20 and 10.
That's what it
Yeah.
I knew what I meant, and it was equally crazy, more crazy, if anything.
So I mean, yeah, he's super athletic and just like pretty skilled.
The fact that they got another triple-double machine point guard is crazy. After Westbrook for 8 years, whatever.
That is kind of crazy. Actually, I didn't even think about it like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll be a good game. I think that. So, and a very interesting point by a lot of people is that the Blazers are pretty close-lipped, and it's going to be just like announced randomly before one of these games that Yusuf is playing, and maybe not before the All-Star break, but like you just never know. That would be crazy.
And like last year, there's all this, trade talk on Blazers Twitter, and then Neil Olshey's like, "We traded for Rodney Hood. We traded for Enes Kanter, or they signed him because he was a free agent. Whatever. It was just like out of nowhere. You're like, oh, okay, we'll take it. I mean, it's not the big thing we wanted, but I'll take it.
Big moves. So I mean, yeah, hopefully, and then this will be kind of like a deja vu if we do end up recording again next week. We didn't record last week, guys, because we really want to be able to actually have some fresh and original content for you guys, and the Blazers are also not just like negative, right? Like we kind of just got into the same. The Blazers are losing, and we obviously did the 2030, so. We're happy to be back, but it's going to be kind of almost a deja vu episode if we do record next week because Mavericks are going to be playing in the Moda, whereas we're playing in Dallas. What's Dallas's arena called?
It's one of the airlines. It's got to be.
I think it's not American Air. That's Chicago, right? Or
Dallas Mavs Arena. Shoot. American Airlines. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, hey.
What's United Center? Is that Chicago?
That's likely.
That is Chicago. Yep, that's the one. And then what's Miami? Shoot.
The tough. Miami is. Oh goodness, why are you gonna do this to me? I can't tell you what Miami is.
American Airlines Arena. What?
Wait.
What is happening? How many American Airlines arenas? This is why we're confused. What is happening? Miami American Airlines Arena. The airline also holds naming rights for another NBA venue, the American Airlines Center for the Dallas Mavericks.
You just stumbled upon this like gem of information right here.
Wow, how did we never know? Like in my head, they were both American Airlines, and it was like, oh, I'm probably just mixing it up. What? This is crazy.
Okay.
Like I somehow knew all these, but then I threw myself off. What's the Grizzlies? We're gonna have a whole podcast on arena names.
Aside from those next couple of games, I mean, there's the Pacers and the Rockets in between, but then this stretch at the end of January is going to be brutal. End of January, beginning of February, it's going to go Trailblazers at the Staples Center against the Lakers, and then Jazz go to Moda, and then we go to Denver, and then Spurs come to Moda, and then we go to Utah, and then the Heat come to Moda. And Pelicans with Zion back. I mean, we're about to hit.
Dude, Zion's coming back. Stoked.
We're just about to hit a stretch, man. It's gonna be tough. But hopefully, last night's win against I don't know. I'm even struggling to think of last night's who we beat. Houston. Kind of carries over.
Yeah, and that just means that toward the end of the season they'll have easier games. So if you're gonna do losing, may as well do it now and then go on a streak once you get Nurk. And hopefully Colin's back.
Might as well get cruising.
Yeah, I mean, they got to win at least one of them, right? The next, next 10 games, all are against teams with winning records except for the Warriors game. So you say they win the Warriors game and they win. If they win 3 or 4 others, I'm stoked. If they go 5-5 in the next 10, that's awesome. Not as far as jumping up in the standings, but yeah, after that, it's, I don't know.
Well, I mean, I'll never forget that graphic that said that Damon and Nurk were like were in the top two, if not like the most at one point, pick and roll scoring tandem.
Yeah, and Nurk is so good, it's ridiculous. If he can come back and play like he was before, I will lose my dang mind because he just instantly puts this team on another level. I mean, we saw it with Nurk Fever. Just what he does on the interior, on offense and defense, but especially defense, is huge. Hassan Whiteside gets blocks, and he can show up a lot, but there's just a lot of things that you see from Nurk.
He's just more mobile.
Yeah, I mean, and like he's like willing to get in front. I don't want to trash on Hassan at all because he's played with so much energy and he's got stats that we haven't seen in a long time. I saw like a stat where he's up there with, it was like Bill Walton and Shaq or something like that.
Yeah.
So like obviously I don't want to discount what he's doing at all, but it kind of seems like he lets people go by him and then he hopes to get the block behind him, which I don't know.
Yeah.
I just think Nurk, I think they could play well together on plenty of possessions, but you can only have one, and the Blazers are committed to Nurk, and it doesn't make any sense to hang on to Whiteside, because if he plays well enough that he's worth keeping, that means he's playing well enough to play himself out of a contract the Blazers could give him. So, yeah.
Well, and Hassan, to play devil's advocate, if they did play alongside one another, Hassan can stretch the floor. I mean, we've seen him even hit the 3 ball, but so it wouldn't be the worst case scenario if Yusuf hit Dame or CJ on the pick and roll, and then he got the ball, rolling to the basket, and then the defender comes over from Hassan and leaves him open for a baseline jump shot. Like Hassan can make it's more about the other end. I think if teams have a stretch four or just kind of a smaller lineup, it might kind of get a little tough.
I mean, now that you said that, I don't know if I've really seen Hassan shoot from the baseline like at all. Like he's always like at the top of the key, and
that's true. That's
throws
true.
it up real quick, and somehow it goes in. And I'm like, what the heck? How did that go in? But he's good at that. But something you just said made me think of this. Dame driving. We talked about how Dame maybe is an even better finisher than he is a 3-point shooter. Like he's super impressive driving to the basket. Like no matter who's on him, basically. Now I'm going to go on another tangent real quick. I want to see the Blazers take more advantage of, I'm on the perimeter and there's a center on me. I need to cross them up, and then step back and shoot. Like that's when you do your step backs. And then, I have a perimeter guy on me and the paint is open. I'm going to drive. But there's so many times where it's like Dame and there's a center on him and he drives. And it's like, that's exactly the only thing he's good at in this defensive situation. This is when you take advantage of taking a step back. And then there's like a really good perimeter defender and they take a step back and they get blocked, or at least they're really off balance. And it's like, no, that's when you drive because there's no one in the paint. Like I know they're way better than me at basketball, so I'm just talking. But there's a lot of times where I'm like, no, like take advantage of the situation. But what I was originally saying, Kent Bazemore needs to make 3-pointers, okay? He has
his 3-point percentage is actually almost as good as his field goal percentage.
That just means he's almost as bad at one thing as he is the other. Kent Bazemore has a beautiful shot that never goes in. Okay, I am so tired of, oh my gosh, they got this perfect play. Pass. Dame drives, passes it to Kent Bazemore, and he misses. It's like, that's your job, dude. Like I'm a big Kent Bazemore fan. He's got some sick blocks this season, some good steals. Had some pretty sketchy passes, but that 3-pointer needs to go down. Like that is your bread and butter. And like the fact that Anthony Tolliver had his big game against the Hornets was awesome. That was great.
That was crazy.
I just want to see Kent Bazemore step up in a smaller way like that. Just make 2 out of 5 3-pointers. He's making like 1 out of 5 right now, and it's not.
He's doing all right spotting up from what I've seen. I just think that absolutely everything else on the offensive side he's been struggling at. But in terms of just like a spot up 3, he's been all right.
It's like when you're open and you're missing it, it's like, well, that just lost all the confidence in you. I don't know.
He's just overall as an offensive player kind of a wrecking ball, but he does some other things, and hopefully we can find him a better place that might be a better fit for him. But I know that we are trying to stick to our 30-minute mark. Was there some closing comments we'd like to discuss here with our audience?
Man, I don't think so. I think that's all that's on my mind right now. Anthony
Yeah.
Tolliver has played well. He had that game with like 11 and 11, and then he had the game with the 16 points in one quarter. So he's been pretty impressive lately. I'm not like on the Anthony Tolliver train. I think he's a
Right.
great guy. He has a really good attitude.
Yeah.
When I look at him,
True that.
I'm just reminded of like, oh yeah, I'm a person and this is my job. And sometimes I do well and sometimes I don't. It's not the end of the world. And I don't know. I like the guy. I think he's great. I'm also not totally against trading him. So there's that too.
You
Anyway.
poured the honey on and just, yeah.
That's how I feel about most NBA
Ripped it
players.
off.
Like, I'm glad the Blazers haven't had like a Kyrie Irving where I'm just like, why is this guy on the team? Like, ugh.
He is imploding.
Man, dude, you see what he did with the Nets? He's like, yeah, we got so-and-so. He's just going through all the initials, like DJ, GT, Garrett Temple. He doesn't even mention, like, Jarrett Allen or, like, they have Torian Prince on their team now, right? Right? Yeah. It's like, I don't know what he was doing. Like, that's not the look, dude. I mean, and he didn't even mention Kevin Durant, which is weird. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong. But it's like he's going down this list, and it's like, there's other important players, too. Like, they're not just little pawns in your trading scheme, like people like me like to say they are. These are people you have relationships with and have to play on the court with. So maybe don't call them out by not saying their names.
Yeah, I think Russ. I think NBA Twitter also is starting to understand that, and also Russ in comparison to Dame as an overall basketball player and leader.
Dude, I mean, I could almost see Russ in some of these Timberwolves trades because they're looking for like a.
That would be
I don't remember.
hilarious. I would love to see Russell Westbrook find himself back in some hick town compared to some of these.
Cool.
It's not hick town, but in his mind, he thinks he's big Showtime Hollywood. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure Minnesota is awesome. See how excited I got? Friggin' awesome. That's what I was gonna
So
say.
good. That's how much he loves Minnesota.
That's right. So, but in terms of some of these Hollywood style NBA players, especially Russell Westbrook being as just annoying. That's the only word I really have. Is he is? I would love to see him end up in Minnesota, and really have to prove something. Oh, you really want to be that? This is my team player. Well, here's a team.
Yeah.
And you know what? I would love to be wrong. I would love to be wrong.
I think it would be legit. I think it could work out well if they traded Westbrook for like Wiggins or something. I don't know, like Westbrook, Karl Anthony Towns, Robert Covington. That sounds pretty good. And then there's not the weird confusion in Houston because, I mean, it's worked okay so far, but it hasn't been.
They'd have to trade more than just Wiggins for Russell.
Maybe.
They would need to do that. They would absolutely need to.
I don't know.
Oh.
Russell Westbrook, he's got a lot of pluses. He's also got a few minuses. I don't know.
No. Compared to Andrew Wiggins?
I mean, as far as a fit for the Rockets, because no one else is going to want to
Not for the Rockets. Just really being. Yeah, actually, yes, for the Rockets. Like, that's a terrible trade for the Rockets.
Are there any other willing trade partners for Russell Westbrook? Because maybe the Rockets are like...
I have no idea, but they could literally just take more of what Minnesota has to offer.
I mean, yeah, like I'm sure there are other pieces that the Rockets would be like, all right, what else you got? But if the Rockets wanted to move him, if they're like, all right, this guy, it's worked out okay, but we have higher aspirations. I don't think that's the case. I think they're going to hang on to Russell Westbrook, and they'll make it to second round of the playoffs and then lose. And we'll move on from this episode because it's dragging on.
All right, team. Well, thank you so much for listening to us this evening. This is Austin Caphammer, and signing off with my co-host, Christian Gamillion. I always pronounce that. Christian, one time for myself and for the folks. Last name pronunciation.
It's Glumla. My last name is Gamalian. Like
Mailing.
you're mailing something and you're mailing it twice. You're mailing
It's kind of it's like
Gamailing.
if you were putting your envelope in the mailbox and you got punched in the stomach by your like
Gamailing.
sibling, and they're like, "What are you doing?" And they like hit you in the stomach. Mailing.
What are you doing?
You think you're just mailing? You're out here on the street just mailing?
Yeah, this is the face I make when I play basketball.
Oh my gosh. All right. Thank you to our contributors, Anthony Machoni and Ziggy Zay for the tunes. And signing off, we'll see y'all next week.
We'll be right back.